which goal is to boost the bioeconomy in Europe by maximising the results from coordination and support actions. The European Union has strong confidence in a sustainable bioeconomy for Europe as an alternative economic model that will bring environmental and socio-economic benefits to our society. This has been encouraged over the last decades by investing resources in coordination and support actions that have actively worked to address diverse challenges related to the bioeconomy. This is where LIFT jumps in, aiming to show you what the CSAs have been up to, what best practices and outcomes have resulted from the CSAs, what recommendations for the future can we extract from CSA's work, and what challenges are still to be addressed. LIFT analysed the work of over 50 CSAs on bioeconomy topics, funded mainly by the 7th Framework Programme, Horizon 2020 Bio-Based Industries Joint Undertaking and Interreg, integrating its findings in 2 specific ways. 11 fact sheets clustered into 4 categories, and the European Bioeconomy Library. In correlation with the macro topic, communication, education and stakeholders engagement, our fact sheets covered awareness raising of the bioeconomy, creating a market for sustainable bio-based products, enhancing its acceptability and promoting sustainable lifestyles. Bioeconomy education, towards raising a bio-conscious generation that embraces the opportunities of a bioeconomy. Stakeholders engagement and co-creation, for the definition of strategies and research agendas that shape our future. Under the macro topic policy framework, our fact sheets address 2 distinct subjects: standardization, life cycle assessment, labeling and regulatory hurdles for a common understanding that facilitates communication, manufacturing, testing, commerce, etc. Regional potential, bioeconomy strategies and action plans to ensure uniform bioeconomy strategic planning and governance. Regarding the From Research to Market macro topic, our fact sheets tackled the uptake of RTD results through diverse actions like coaching and training, etc. Foresight, market studies and market roadmaps to be prepared for the future, exploring scenarios for alternative strategies to confront complex challenges. Finally, when it comes to the macro topic, value chains and innovation ecosystem, our fact sheets covered the biomass availability, quality and supply to ensure a sustainable and reliable supply of non-food biomass feedstock while not competing with the food market. New value chains and business models for local deployment, enhancing the use of their own resources. Open innovation platforms and facilities, promoting open access to research infrastructures for lab, test or pilot work. Industrial road mapping, supporting strategic and long-range planning for specific technological solutions. Additionally, through the European Bioeconomy Library, we provide a transparent, readily available, user-friendly bioeconomy knowledge-based platform, where you'll find in one place the results of more than 50 CSA's projects related to the bioeconomy. LIFT analysed, compiled and organised the results of 57 CSA's projects and CSA's-like projects. From this work, the results have been clustered in 11 topical categories. The platform has 237 results available, organised in a diverse range of typologies. These results can potentially become very useful and bring added value to different types of stakeholders. If you want to access coordination and support actions outcomes through the Bioeconomy Knowledge Platform, then visit lift-bbi.eu. LIFT, boosting bioeconomy by maximising CSA results.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the last webinar of LIFT. This is the fourth on 4. And today we will talk about value chains and innovation ecosystem. So we will touch 3 main topical categories. So the first one is biomass availability, quality, supply, and sustainability. The second one is new value chains and business models. And the third one is open innovation platforms and facilities. As usual, we will touch the challenges, the gaps, and the results that has been identified by the analysis of the CSA, Coordination and Support Action Projects. And of course, we will share with you the recommendation and work with you to design additional recommendations. So next slide. Okay, a few practicalities. So the webinar will be recorded. If you have questions, you have on the bottom of your page the Q&A bubble, so you can submit to us the Q&A, and we will try to answer as much as we can during this webinar. Otherwise, we will answer later on. We will work with you, as I mentioned already, so please be ready with your cell phone on menti.com. And today the access code is 51488, 51488. You will find, as usual, everything, so the slides, recording, question and answers, but also the report of the interactive sessions on the link that you find here. Anyway, you go in the LIFT websites, you follow webinars, and then this is the fourth webinar. But of course, you will be able to find everything that has been produced in the previous 3 webinars on LIFT/webinars. So, few data about what happened in the last webinars. We had, in total, we have, this is from yesterday, we had 834 registered people. And we collected in the last webinars more than 550 additional recommendations to be added to the final LIFT recommendations. The people participating mainly expect from us to have ideas, information, good practices, but also knowledge, definition of terms. And as you can see, the majority of participants found our contents interesting, and they are, of course, also the last point you see, interested to participate to the next webinars. So today is the last, but you can again assess what has been done up to now because every session has been recorded. More or less, we have, from the first one, we had 420 participants. The second one, we had 314, but then we had a technology crash, and then we repeated 2 days after, and then we had 190 participants. And last time we had 251 participants. Now we are 164, 65, so the number is increasing. And the participants are mainly from Italy, Spain, Germany, Belgium, but also several eastern countries and northern countries like Finland, some people from Greece, the Netherlands, Hungary. So here you can see they are, of course, different depending on the topics, as well as the participants, stakeholders. As you see, the second one, the third one was from research to market, and therefore we had more researchers. In the second one, that is a policy framework, the policymaker were 18%, the business 24%, and the research 49%, and more or less the civil society from 5 to 9. Okay, so we can go to the next. So today, we already said what we will touch, but we have also 2 guest projects. One is Celebio, and then we will have BioVoices projects. And in terms of speakers, we will have Alex, that you already know, that is the coordinator of LIFT. We have Berin, that is from Wageningen, and will represent Celebio. We have Matteo Sabini from APRE, that will represent BioVoices. We have John and me, that we will the one sharing with you the LIFT results. Okay, we can go to the next one. So this is the presentation of LIFT, and the speaker will be Alex Almeida. Excuse me. Okay, let's go for this one first. Okay, so you are already starting answering. So we already have 50 answers. We kindly ask you to go to menti.com to use the code 51488 and to tell us who you are. So we have, today we have 63% apparently up to now researchers, more or less as usual around the 30% of business, and an interesting number of 8-9% of policymakers. So this is interesting. Even the number is increasing. We are 179. So for the people that just enter now, please go to menti.com and use the code 51488 because we don't want to have a one-way webinar. This is a two-way, so we will really we would like to really have you on board and sharing your ideas with us, because all this will be packaged and will be transferred to the European Commission, to BBIJU, BIC, but also other relevant stakeholders that will benefit from the LIFT results. Okay, I think maybe we can move to the next one. We would like to know your countries. In the last sessions, we had also people from US, from China, from India. So not only here. So thanks for the people that are from US, because I guess it's nearly night in your countries. So Italy, the superhero, Spain, Germany, Belgium, Portugal, Netherlands. Okay, I imagine that some of you already attended to the other webinars. Probably we will have some new ones. Anyway, everything is recorded, and you will be able to access all this information, all this record in the LIFT website. Okay, Spain. Today, Spain is the superhero. We would like to know if you already participated to EU-funded projects. For those that are not familiar with the CSA coordination and support actions, those are the projects that are the main focus of LIFT, LIFT analysis. So basically are projects that are funded by the European Commission or BBIJU or other players to support the creation of the innovation ecosystem, in the specific case for the bioeconomy. So I see that we have we have a good number of people that never participate to EU-funded projects in the bioeconomy. So I hope that will be the opportunity for you to participate. In September, there will be a new BBIJU call that just opened today, the submission. So, and the info day will be next week on the 22. So BBIJU info day for the ones that would like to have more information about this joint undertaking that is funding projects in bioeconomy and bio-based economy. Okay, I think more or less we are done. So 31 other type of project that could be RIA, Innovation Action, or even Interreg, Erasmus+, and 26% of CSA. Good. Next one. Next one, we would like to know your project's name. So the one that you mentioned before. What is your project? So Bloom is the first one. Bioeco Valgorize, I think I don't know this project. So we will also be able to follow you. BioWaste, Power for Bio, Power for Bio. Today is the superhero. Celebio, of course, is one of our two. BioBridges is another project that is creating. We will speak about BioBridges, Celebio, even Power for Bio today. ICT Biochain, yes. I'm trying to remember which one we will cover today. Anyway, the majority of this project that you see here has been covered by the LIFT analysis that covers 64 projects in total. BioVoices, Woodzin's, I think, I don't know this project, I will start. Okay, so probably we are, you can vote more than one if you are involved in more than one project. So more or less we are considering the percentage of people that never participate in the project. So Cele Bio, Power for Bio, Bio Bridges, Bio Voices, incredible. These are the super ISO. And Bio East Up, that is an important project supporting the Bio East initiative. Okay, perfect. I think we can move and go to the LIFT presentation very quickly, covered by Alexandra Almeida, that is the coordinator.
Yes, good morning. So thank you again for being present in the webinar. Very fast as usual. The LIFT project, we have, but the project is finishing this month. We have 5 objectives to analyze the CSAs, as Susanna said, coordination and support actions are a specific kind of project from the European Commission and from BBIGU. This for the ones that don't know what are CSAs, are a specific instrument that normally with a lower budget than the research projects and innovation projects, also shorter duration than this kind of projects, and the main objective is to provide studies, to provide recommendations, to analyze results, and to support the research and innovation for the other projects. For instance, LIFT analyzed several 64 CSAs, as we said, but from BBIGU we analyze 11 CSAs projects that are all the CSAs launched by BBIGU, like BioWaste, Start for BBI, BioCanDo, Road to Bio, Pilots for You, BioOpen, BioBridges, ICT BioChain, LIFT, Cele Bio, and Ruby of Future. These were the projects analyzed, and also we had some interactions with the upcoming projects that will start in some month. So by doing this, the objective is to maximize the impact of these CSAs and to make the results available to, especially to industries and policymakers. We analyze the existing gaps and identify challenges to be addressed. They will be presented today for 3 of the topical categories that we covered. And then, of course, with all this information, we can raise, and we are raising awareness about the contribution of these CSAs to the bioeconomy. At the end of the project, and that's why we also like to collect your opinion. At the end of the project, we are providing recommendations for future CSA topics. These are not all of them. Some of them, they don't have logos because we also analyze the tenders and future projects. So these future projects didn't start, they don't have logos yet, but these are the logos, the very green logos of CSAs that we analyzed. I think all of them, they have green in the logo. And in terms of outcomes, so these are the 11 categories that we analyze. Today we are detailing biomass availability, quality supplies and sustainability, new value chains and business models, and open innovation and platforms and facilities. All the information from the projects can be found in the European Bioeconomy Library. That I'm going to show you as an example. So we are here in the Bioeconomy Library. It's a repository of all the projects. These numbers are increasing. We have more than 57 projects now. We have tackled all these initiatives per area. These are the types of results that we have: articles, games, good practices, presentations, deliverables, fact sheets, infographics. And we have the results are split between the type of stakeholder, and this is the results that we have for each of the stakeholders. If we go very fast, for instance, to projects, and let's select here BioVoices that is here today with us. If we select BioVoices, we search, and we will have the information from BioVoices. The first screen is like it's a very Cordis-like information, and then we have all the results from the project. For instance, there is a BioArt gallery. I want to know more. I click here, and I have the information of what it is, a BioArt gallery, and in this case, a link to the gallery, and even a video about this. The other way to search is by contents. So if I go to contents, I can select, for instance, in this case, I will select the topic from today, biomass availability. I search, and I will have all the results from all the CSAs that we analyze that are related with biomass availability, quality, supply, and sustainability. You can see here the result and the project. In this case, it's ICT Biochain. There is also TBB PPS enabling, and the results are here. So, and you can then search by not only by topic, but content type. So I want to see games that were developed, I can search. You also can find here in the library all the fact sheets of that LIFT created. All of them are here, the 11. Today we are discussing these ones.
Yeah, we just want to add, if you have a project that is in the library and you don't see all the relevant content that you believe that are important to be shared, please contact LIFT and send us more information about this content. So we kindly ask you to help us to finalize this task, because we have a lot of contents that have been provided by the project, but sometimes, of course, we could have missed something. So please help us on this.
Okay, thank you. And here is a final picture of the resources from LIFT, the European Bioeconomy Library, as I mentioned. Also very connected with LIFT, the European Bioeconomy Network. And then, of course, the 11 fact sheets. And at the end of this month, as I said, it will be available also on the website, the recommendations for the innovation ecosystem for bioeconomy. And now let's go to Celebio. Thank you.
So it will be Berin from Wageningen to tell us something about Celebio. The floor is yours.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, good. Yes. Well, first the objectives of Celebio. The first thing is to contribute to the strengthening of the bioeconomy and oh, I'm losing it. Where am I? Here. Sorry for this. So to provide fact sheet information, the country studies for 6 key countries, which are Bulgaria, Czech Republic, Croatia, Hungary, Slovenia, and Slovakia, and also for the neighboring countries, so the neighboring region, and these are Macedonia, Serbia, Greece, Bosnia-Herzegovina, Montenegro, and Albania. And for these countries, we will develop these country reports and also action plans and also networking. We will also support the creation of concrete opportunities to expand or create bio-based activities in the target countries. And we will raise awareness on the benefits of the local economies, environment, and society coming from bio-based activities for these countries. Beside the country reports, there will also be reports with an overview of all the relevant stakeholders in the countries that have to, that are, well, relevant in the bio-based economy of these countries, or could become relevant. And we try to raise awareness and mobilize stakeholders through national websites, social media, and the bioeconomy workshops. This is, of course, because of Corona, a bit delayed everything, but we will, we hope we can, with some delay, still do this, of course. Okay, then the next slide, because now I go to the content. I told you that there are country reports developed for these focus countries, and also so we have the 6 focus countries and the neighboring countries. And these country reports, here you see the outline. They consist of 9 chapters. The first chapter is the introduction, and then you have 3 chapters about biomass supply, biomass availability, and mobilization options for that biomass, looking at it from the agriculture perspective, so the sectoral perspective, agriculture, forestry, and waste. And then there are chapters that elaborate further on the biomass delivery chain options. The first one is about, chapter 5 is about bio-based industries, products and markets, what is already happening there and where are opportunities. Then there is a chapter on infrastructure, logistics and energy sector. Then about skills, education, research and innovation potential. Chapter 8 is about the policy framework. And so for that policy framework, there were also action plans developed in separate follow-up of the country reports. So the country reports are really providing the factual information, and this information is further used to develop these action plans. And part of the country reports is also a SWOT analysis for all these issues that are reported in the chapters. Every chapter ends with a SWOT, particularly on these subjects. And then the final is about financing options. Okay, well, next slide, please.
Berina, if I can ask you to be more short, because we have a lot of things to be touched in the day. So please be shrink. Thanks.
This is an example of this SWOT on biomass availability for the 6 countries. And of course, you see that this SWOT is, they're quite general issues on the strength, but in the country reports, you find more specific SWOTs for the situation in these countries. But in general, you see that you can say that there is a large availability of biomass and of unused biomass, primary and secondary residual biomass in these countries. And also the waste sector is not so far developed in most countries that it is already optimally separating waste and treating it. So that is also an option. There's a lot of biomass still unused that could be used. And then you have the forestry sector, which is quite strong in certain countries. On the threats, for example, you see that there is a slow restructuring in the agriculture, forestry and waste sector, also due to lack of resources, financing mechanisms. That is really a threat in these countries. Of course, there's a general threat of climate change and diseases in particularly forest, but also a drought and uncertain yields in agriculture. There's a lack of a public-private partnership tradition in many countries, which is also okay. Next slide. Next slide, please. Yeah. So some SWOT elements for the opportunities for biomass delivery chain development in these countries. Well, you see on the strength side, there is enough biomass resources available. And you also see that there's a relatively high educated skilled workforce in most of these countries. Weaknesses are that there's often a short and vertical chains with low added value processing in agricultural products, for example. But that is also at the same time an opportunity that there is a possibility to develop also these longer chains and to add more added value to processing of primary products in these countries. Then there is at this moment on the threat side, for example, lack of pilot and demo plant development, the Death Valley issue. And the market for high added value biomass uses still really needs to be developed. Now the focus is particularly on low quality chains for heat and electricity production. So that is just an example of SWOT elements that we have picked out now. But of course there are these 6 country reports and also the reports for the neighboring countries on their way. And there is a lot of information available by the end of when these reports are available. And then the last slide on, we can move to the next slide. Here you see the website of Celebio and the national country sites, country mini websites.
Thanks a lot, Berin. Of course, all this information that are very interesting and relevant, you will find on Celebio, and the country report will be ready on September.
Yes, yeah, okay. Yeah. Well, there are already reports available or almost ready. And I have to speak to the coordinator, Peter.
Yeah, they told us in September last time. Okay, so let's go quickly to the Bio Voices. So this will be Matteo Sabini to present us Bio Voices.
Hello to everybody. Hope you can hear me. I'm Matteo Sabini from APRE, Italian Agency for the Promotion of European Research, that is the coordinator of BioVoices, a support coordination support action funded by Horizon 2020. And the main aim is to engage all the stakeholders, all the voices indeed, in the promotion, co-creation, and to boost the adoption of bio-based products and the bioeconomy. So what we did is to create a stakeholder platform to involve all the stakeholders. We are organizing events and activities of co-creation in order to increase the acceptance, the sustainability of research, innovation, action and outcomes in the bioeconomy sector. And also we are trying to increase the awareness on bio-based products. What are the stakeholders engaged? We adopted the quadruple helix model, so we are engaging citizens, the civil society in general, business representative, academia, and policymakers, but also a fifth dimension that is the investors. So in the next slide, you can see the main outcomes of the project. We defined 12 challenges for the market of uptake of bio-based products. We defined a matrix where we matched the stage development of bio-based products with 5 areas of 5 topics, main topics of these challenges. For instance, the definition of strategies at national, regional level, issues related to standardization and labeling and so on. We created a BioVoices stakeholder platform, an online platform where we put all the materials created during the events and where people can discuss, can upload their documents and so on. And most important thing, we are organizing more than 70 mobilization mutual learning workshops at European, national, regional level. And at the end, of the project, and the project now should end in June 2021. At the end of the project, we will analyze all the inputs collected during the workshops in order to create a policy brief with recommendation to present to European Commission. Another activity, another outcome is that we are doing a lot of activities to increase the awareness about bio-based products, such as many proactive actions during citizen science events. We are doing social network campaigns, and we created the BioArt Gallery that was shown before by Alex and before this webinar, where we present what you can do, which products you can do starting from a feedstock. Moreover, we collected around 200 items, 200 bio-based products, and we created an exhibition. So during events, we show indeed to the people what is a bio-based product, what they can buy, and so on. Finally, we also created a community that is the European Bioeconomy Network, made by European funded projects, and this community was also mentioned by the European Commission in the updated strategy on bioeconomy on 2018. In the last slide, there are the links to the to our resources, and just a few words about a social network campaign that we started last week, dedicated to to coronavirus moment, since the hashtag is Bioeconomy at Home, and every day we show something, for instance, an interview with people working in bioeconomy sector. We promote some educational cards with relevant information on bio-based products, and for instance, we show some products or also some tutorial of bio-based products that you can do at home, and so on. And we are very active on all social media, social networks, in particular on Facebook and on Instagram. And you have also some other links to BioArt Gallery and to, for instance, to the booklet where we collected some of the main interesting inputs emerged so far in the MML workshop. So thank you.
Thanks, Matteo. So we will go very quickly to the next block, the next
the biomass availability, quality and supply.
And our presenter will be John Voss.
Thank you, Susanna, for your introduction. I'm happy to take you through the fact sheet on biomass availability, quality, supply and sustainability. I'll shorten a bit the text that I had presented so that we can finish this webinar today in time. Next slide. It was not so easy to find bioeconomy projects looking at biomass availability, sustainability, etc. And the reason being is that many of the projects that address this topic, biomass availability, are actually from the renewable energy field. Especially in the last decade, lots of projects have looked into this. And purely bioeconomy projects looking at this topic, there aren't that many. So I had to look a bit further than just the CSAs. The CSAs funded by BBIJU, or the CSAs funded under the Horizon 2020 program, and then the Strand Bioeconomy. And as a result, we have these 6 projects here. And there are a few that I would like to highlight. First and foremost, the S2 Biome project. The S2 Biome project is really interesting because it built on 5 or 6 earlier biomass availability projects, and it brought together the experts and the resources and pulled these together into a very comprehensive website. My company BTG was part of this project, and Berin, who was one of the speakers earlier today, was one of the project's main actors. So if you want to know more about S2 Biome, just contact one of us. S2 Biome had a really pan-European focus, whereas the other projects like Biorec, ICT Biochain, Enabling, and as we learned today, also Celebio has a more regional focus, addressing specific countries or specific feedstock. For biomass sustainability, the story is pretty much the same. Again, most of the attention to biomass sustainability comes from the area of renewable energy. And the reason being is that to qualify for higher feedback rates or premium rates, you need to prove that your renewable energy is sustainable, your bioenergy is sustainable. And that's why a lot of time, resources, and money went into this from an energy perspective. Nonetheless, worth mentioning is the STAR ProBio project. I think this is one of the first larger EU-funded projects that tackles the subject. And STAR ProBio finishes this month, and it was to develop a fit-for-purpose sustainability scheme, including standards, labels, and certifications for bio-based products. Some of their results were presented during a webinar earlier this month, in which they joined ICT Biochain, and more results will be presented during their final online event on the 28th of April. And I look forward to this project presenting a tool that is affordable and easy to use for the intended uses, which is of course the bio-based industry. On the topic of biomass supply or biomass mobilization, at the time that we conducted the desk research for these fact sheets, there wasn't too many material coming from Bioeconomy CSAs. That situation will change or has changed a little bit. ICT Biochain in the meantime has come up with some results enabling the same, and also Celebio will soon have materials addressing this topic. Should you nonetheless already be interested in the topic right now, I'm pleased to tell you that in the bioenergy field, there is a project called Music. It has nothing to do with music, it has to do with market uptake support for intermediate bioenergy carriers. And there my colleague Kaisa recently completed an inventory of EU-funded projects on this topic. There must have been 10, 12, if not more, projects from the energy field looking at biomass mobilization. And drop me a line if you're interested. I'm happy to inform you further. Okay, after this quick introduction, let me come to the outcomes, the gaps, and the recommendations. The outcomes is a pan-European data set for the availability of biomass. That's mainly the S2 Biome project. It's very comprehensive. Not always easy to use, but okay, it's there. Regional data sets for selected biomass streams or byproduct streams. Decision support tools for matching biomass and technologies. Think of projects like S2 Biome, ICT Biochain. Platforms and marketplaces for biomass trading. The good practices on developing biomass supply chains currently mainly comes from projects in the bioenergy field, and I hope in the near future will also come from bioeconomy, CSA, and CSA-like projects. Next, please. The gaps that are still to be bridged. I think in general there is a lack of awareness and knowledge about the emerging opportunities as well as the benefits for regional development from exploiting local biomass. And an example that was uncovered in one of projects that Susanne is involved in is the side stream from wine production that has potential to be valorized at a high value. Secondly, I may skip some of the bullets here. Biomass is often bulky, seasonal, heterogeneous, contaminated, and only seasonally available. And therefore, the economic industrial processing in biorefineries requires multiple feedstock types, large volumes, efficient use and disposal of all coal products. So basically, you have to consider each and every available residue stream and make smart use, make smart combinations. Securing the long-term supply of affordable and sustainable biomass and developing efficient and cost-effective logistics, biomass mobilization is a challenge. Then data on biomass availability, on trade and use is often poor for a whole range of reasons. And better statistics and harmonization of reporting are needed on the use of biomass from different sources. The last bullet I want to address is better harmonization of legislation across Europe to improve productive use of biomass. As an example, what is considered as waste in one country may have a different legal status in a neighboring country. So it may be used in your neighboring country for a high value, and in your own country it may not be used for regulation reasons. Last slide. Our recommendations, again, I won't cover all of them, just pick out 5. Raise awareness, educate, involve and demonstrate, and then in particular to primary producers and industries, the added value and the economic potential that biomass offers. Promote the debate among local stakeholders and promote integrated activities at the local level. Biomass is a local resource. Shipping biomass over large distances is not always a good idea in terms of the money involved, the cost involved, the handling. You can only do it if the biomass is condensed prior to shipping. Therefore, a stronger focus on the local level is something we would highly recommend. And this can build on the outcomes of CSA projects, such as platforms, decision support systems, good practices, etc. It's a good idea to periodically conduct data availability studies. And why, you may wonder? Well, technology developments result in other feedstock types becoming of potential interest. In the more longer run, climate change may lead to crop types and yields that are changing. And also bioeconomic developments and structural changes have an impact on biomass availability. Fourthly, it's a good idea to develop and refine easy-to-use tools that match information on locally available biomass and technologies. And lastly, promote the harmonization of waste and end-of-waste definition and classification across Europe. Well, that was in a nutshell and rather quick the information I wanted to share with you on the fact sheet on biomass availability, etc. Thank you.
Okay, let's take again our cell phones and let's go for the interactive session. So I would like to know from you what are your additional recommendations for biomass availability, quality, supply, and sustainability. We already seen here in the chat that we have very interesting links to additional sources. So we will put everything on the available material for everybody to be assessed. And the slides will be available. If they are not already, they will be just after we finish in the LIFT website. Okay, so John.
Yeah, well, we see here the first few feedback arriving, starting with public-private partnerships, risk capital, and specialized financing. Yeah, interesting to note, we have 11 fact sheets. Originally, there were just 8 topics asked for, but we covered, I think, 12 to 15 in total. And by lumping some into a single fact sheet, we ended up with 11 fact sheets. What was missing from the topics was access to finance. And it's good to see that in the call that was opened just today, there is a CSA asked for that will address this topic. So if this is something that you're interested in and you have skill set in, maybe it's an opportunity to submit a proposal, I would even say. Encourage the use of spontaneous biomass. I'm not entirely sure what spontaneous biomass would be. I guess this refers to biomass that is not specifically cropped, not specifically grown for a purpose, so not for food. Maybe we talk about nature grass. Of course, that's also a source, verge grass, residues from maintaining green parks in towns and villages. Encourage the use of biomass that does not harm other supply chains. That's a very good point. The assumption that there is a lot of biomass that is unused, I think it generally is not true. Almost all biomass has some application. And when you use it for bio-based products, you might take it away from another purpose. So that's really something that needs careful consideration. Valorization of biomass waste, obviously, a dynamic data set on available feedstock. I think our recommendation already touched on that idea that you should repeat the data inventory. Periodically develop smaller and local biorefineries. This is something I know is high on the agenda of the European Commission, and it's actually one of the topics that we are addressing in a study that Brussels has recently commissioned and which BTG is also part of. If you have ideas or suggestions on this topic, don't hesitate to contact us on this. That's John Voss at BTG. Funding projects with different TRLs, that's technology readiness levels. I can't see it anymore, sorry. Always have a market-oriented assessment, identify hurdles to overcome for a better market readiness. Okay. Yeah, not directly linked to biomass, but fine. Promote a bridge between who produces biomass and co-products to who can create added value products. Yes, again, paying attention to primary producers is something high on the agenda and certainly will get attention in the next few years to come.
I think we need to proceed because we are late. We will provide you all this information to be available in the LIFT website, so you will be able to go and to study everything that has been produced here. So next block.
New value chains and business models.
Okay, so as we know, bioeconomy is a major opportunity for regional and local communities, but despite the broad political agreement and the potential of many European regions to develop a thriving circular bio-based economy, better exploiting or exploitation and deploying their own resources remain untapped up to now. And therefore, new sustainable technological options, but also business models that are suitable for local deployment are needed. And therefore, for this reason, supporting the new bio-based chain and business model through raising awareness activities, knowledge deployment, development studies also, clustering and networking is one of the main focus of the CSA. So you will find all this information in this fact sheet that you can download clicking here. And we did an extensive analysis of several projects that are here. As you see, it is not only BBIJU or Horizon 2020, but also several Interreg projects, because this is a topic that has been tackled by Interreg. And mainly in this list of projects, we have several projects like BioOpen, ICT BioChain, BioReg, and BioTIC that address the platform and cluster development. Some other projects that are dealing with the creation or the analysis of existing business models to be replicated, like Power for Bio, Be Rural, Rubizmo, and Enabling. Then there are projects like BioBridges that are supporting the creation of new value chains and cross value chain like BioBridges, that is bridging brand owners, bio-based industries, and consumers. And then there are beyond the coordination and support action projects like Super Bio, Danube BioValnet, Alt Bioeco, and the Baltic for Bio. So several projects, you will find all the information, detailed information on the fact sheet and on the library. So going to the achievement, basically the project developed a number of online platforms, but also clusters that are supporting the development of new bio-based products and the creation of the value chain that we know in the majority of cases is really rooted on the regional conditions, on the regional resources also. And so this supported the co-innovation partnership, but also facilitating the knowledge sharing across the different regions, but and also across the different stakeholders. And then a catalog, several catalog of replicable business models or pathway that can be used or replicated in different contexts that have similar conditions. And then, of course, identify and address cross-collaboration and also implementation challenges, like, for instance, BioBridges is doing this along the value chain. So who are the stakeholders to be leveraged? What are the implementation challenges? How to really facilitate the connection between the different stakeholders along the value chains? And this facilitated the creation of cross-sectorial and cross-border new bio-based value chain, because of course there is a contamination in that sense. Going to the next one. the gaps. First of all, there is still lack of awareness and understanding about the opportunities, but also the replicable business model, also scalable, because of course some business models that are fine in large scale dimension are not fine in small scale dimension. And this also drive to the lack of skilled workforce. That is something that we already touched in our webinar about bioeconomy education. And then of course, there's a need for a supportive environment that will really promote integrated solutions for the biomass valorization, involving, of course, all the different actors in the value chain. And of course, we are insisting on the fact that primary producers, the feedstock suppliers, should be on board, and also investors. And there is a need for innovative, scalable, transferable, and replicable business models to match the local realities and to adapt the global ideas to the local condition, resources, but also the culture, the mindset of the local players. And all this should be monitored. So impact assessment studies should be done periodically to really validate the applicability, but also the replicability of the business models. And the less mature value chains, but maybe now not really foreseen, not really identified as promising, should be supported because otherwise it's really impossible that they compete with some other value chain that are more incentivized, like for instance, the biogas. Okay, the next one. So our recommendation. First of all, a collaborative assessment of the different business model and value chain. Collaborative means multi-stakeholder, could be conducted to generate insight and recommendation for the creation of a new bio-based value chain. And all this should be made available, consolidated and made available in an online catalog, possibly with different way of using it depending on the stakeholder type. And of course, there's a need, a continuous need to raise awareness, to educate, but how this showcasing and demonstrating the added value of new business opportunities, so be really practical, showcasing ideas, but also business model that can be replicated and adapted in the specific conditions. And of course, it is absolutely important to attract the investment and to promote what works. So the successful concept and initiative that can stimulate the creativity, but also the entrepreneurs to really invest, and also the mutual learning, so networking and knowledge transfer among the different stakeholders and different conditions, different regions. Therefore, multi-stakeholder bioeconomy apps, like for instance, those apps are promoted by the new project Sherpa, but also Power for Bio and Be Rural projects. And those should really engage different type of stakeholders of the quadruple helix. All this because we really need to support a resilient, effective, and sustainable ecosystem for the bioeconomy. I just want to add something. All this become much more important now when we are really called to redesign the society, the lifestyle in a greener way. So it's our opportunity to really green a white page. So let's take everything into consideration, especially the policymaker. Okay, next one will be the Mentimeter. So we would like to hear from you. Someone already started. So multi-stakeholder workshop to co-created actionable plans. Of course, is very in line with what we said. Actionable means that they are shared plan because they are produced by the different stakeholders, and therefore they are more acceptable and also specific for the condition where they come from, so a bottom-up approach. And then share relevant case studies to adopt a win.
Can I chip in, Susanna?
Yes, yes, for sure.
I see some very interesting suggestions, particularly the one on the left bottom. In this historical period, to incorporate or collaborate with small companies. That's a very smart recommendation, I would say, as something we should pick up. On the right corner, I see consider the blue bioeconomy value change. The roadmap for the blue bioeconomy was something that we covered in last week's webinar. This is a nice example of a tendered study. It's not a CSA or a project at all. Nonetheless, it's something that in the LIFT project we felt we should look at, because if you focus just on CSAs, then you miss a large part of the world of the EU-funded initiatives and projects. Showcasing best practices is of course always a good idea and something we largely support. And linking to the circular economy.
Yeah, this is a one.
Okay, I'll hand over to you again, Susanna.
Yeah, okay, no, but I mean, it's a discussion where everybody can jump in. So basically this link between the circular economy is very important, because we have a lot of resources that can come from this direction, but everything is in this line. I mean, the Green Deal is really connecting the circular economy with the bioeconomy per se. I think that we can move because we are already super late. So this one, the last block of our discussion.
Open innovation platforms and facilities. The biomass availability, quality.
This will be again John.
Yeah, oh, thank you, Susanna. I think that was the wrong video. I think I have -5 minutes, considering we want to do the Mentimeter afterwards. So again, I'll have to be brief, and sorry for speaking so fast. Of course, you can always listen back to the recording that will be available shortly. Here we have a fact sheet that is addressing a topic that was not even mentioned in the call text to which the LIFT project responds. And it's about open innovation platforms and facilities. At such facilities, interested industrial parties can take advantage of operating equipment and facilities that they may need to carry out lab, test, or pilot work. And in the fact sheet, we actually cover 2 issues, which is the networking of shared research infrastructure and voucher schemes. Next slide. In the networking area, networking of shared research infrastructure, there's just a single real CSA. That was the Pilots for You project. It was completed in autumn last year, and interesting to see is that the team that implemented the project is really looking for continuing the project in some way or another. They have a very explicit ambition to keep the project results alive and up to date. As for voucher schemes, I can mention Super Bio, Biobase for SME, Biobase, NWE, and Smart Pilots. Super Bio was primarily a project to boost the development of cross-sectoral and cross-border new bio-based value chains, and doing so by offering vouchers. The Biobase for SME and Biobase NWE projects are both Interreg projects, also offering vouchers. And it's good to know that these projects, because they were Interreg projects, they could only support economic operators from qualifying regions and countries. So we will come up as LIFT project with a recommendation to open up such a voucher scheme to include all EU member states. Smart Pilots is again an Interreg project, but it's funded from another program strand that primarily focused on policy development and exchange, and for which mainly public or part-public parties from across the whole of Europe qualify. And none of these 4 projects that I just mentioned are real CSAs, and therefore we refer in the LIFT project to them as CSA-like projects. Now next slide. Thanks, Alex. So what are the achievements, the main outcomes? An analysis or database of, on the one hand, the current capabilities of the open access research infrastructures, and on the other hand, the needs of the European bio-based industry for them. Startups and SMEs were facilitated to bring their bio-based innovations to the market by providing access to the mentioned infrastructures and tailored supporting services like vouchers. A gap analysis, plans and recommendations for expanding open access bioeconomy scale-up equipment and process plants. This was something, for example, the ERI4 project looked in, mainly for forest bioeconomy. and collaboration among technology providers and local clusters in the area where the shared research facility is operating. As for gaps, as before, I made a selection. I'd like to mention 5 of them. There's insufficient analysis and understanding, both by industries and policymakers, of the effectiveness of shared research platforms and facilities. There's a lack of integration among political and industrial strategies and the available shared research facilities that could ease the scale up of small industries. Or in more simple words, regions do not always consider and take into account what nearby other regions already developed and offer in terms of shared research facilities. There's a strong need to further strengthen and invest in existing open access infrastructures, so to keep them state of the art and to increase their flexibility. We noted that there is a concern about the quality, reliability, and availability of shared data in existing online platforms. And lastly, because many of the schemes presented here are funded through Interreg, voucher schemes mainly target smaller sized companies and specific regions. And whereas vouchers may also be advantageous or beneficial to somewhat larger companies and or firms from other regions, as I already mentioned just before. The last slide. Our recommendations, there are 6 here, I'll mention 4. The role of shared research facilities and open platforms should be valorized as a solution to reduce technological risks, one of the issues that was mentioned in the Menti just before, and investment that are needed at early stages or to scale up. The potential of existing open access infrastructure could be optimized. The risk of duplication can be minimized by creating collaborative networks that own complementary infrastructures within a specific value chain. In other words, don't duplicate facilities when they are not far away from each other, because they're expensive and then both are underused. To maximize the investment in and the potential of existing facilities, better mobility of funding across Europe, especially on a cross-regional basis, is required by extending the remit of existing regional funding mechanisms. In other words, your provincial or lower government may only fund companies, initiatives, shared research facilities within that region. We think that's sub-optimization. And lastly, lastly, establish a voucher system to support industry to access technical and non-technical innovation support services. Yeah, what I did not cover in this very quick overview is what these voucher schemes typically support. And just to give an example, they help to pay for professional services such as the scale-up and proof of concept, intellectual property support, life cycle assessments, techno-economic appraisal, feedstock analysis, market research, sustainability appraisal, regulatory landscape evaluation, business planning, access to investors, grant writing, you name it. Thank you. Yeah, we see the first responses on the Menti coming in. Maintenance of the platforms with updated data. Yeah, of course, a huge issue that we see with CSA projects is that the moment they are finalized, data becomes out of date. And so far, I would dare to take the stand that very few CSAs have managed to continue the level of work that they were able to do within the CSA projects. And it's only logical for many reasons. But this is a challenge that also the BBIJU is very aware of, and that frustrates them. Well, I told them it likewise frustrates the people that develop these platforms and maintain the data, because when the project is over, keeping it up to date often ends. And really some solution that helps to address this would be welcome. We know that the BBIJU is thinking in this direction. But our big, at least, the private partner in BBIEU is thinking in this direction. Whether the European Commission would also accept such an approach remains to be seen. Public-private collaboration mentioned even twice here. Sure, I think most of the shared research facilities are actually some form of public-private collaboration, at least have a significant share of their investment co-funded by the public sector. Yeah, commitment of all the actors for continuous updating. Yeah, that relates to the comment I just made. Make use of co-creation approaches. disappears from my screen, sorry. There is the ESPRI roadmap of research infrastructures. Yeah, that's something interesting that I am not entirely aware of. Because as you all know by now, LIFT really had the target to look at CSAs. We were supposed to look at about 30, we looked at more than 60. So we've done a lot more than we were tasked to. This would have been very interesting to look into as well. And I will do certainly myself, but not in LIFT project time anymore, I'm afraid. A management similar to big European research infrastructures to make possible entrepreneurship, scale up, innovative process. Yes. I think this links with ESPRI, so I first would have to analyze what it offers. But indeed, if you have ideas, tips, how this could best be used, please share them with us, because we could still include them in our recommendations, as Susanna mentioned already, that we are working on them. They are due by the end of the month, so that's in less than, that's in 2 weeks and a few days.
Okay, I think we have to go because we are already over. So I would like to kindly ask you a very last effort. So if you participated to more than one of our workshop, which topic you found more interesting? Or anyway, if you didn't have the chance to participate, which topic anyway you found more interesting to be addressed, to be covered by the next CSA, for instance, which one requests more attention? As you see, the balls are already coming. So we have bioeconomy education, awareness, biomass availability, new value chain. I mean, the two touched today, 8 and 11, are very interesting, but also education.
I think you can vote 3 times, isn't it?
Which one?
Yes, you can vote 3 times.
Yes, you can vote more than.
So if you try to tick more than 3 boxes, you can't submit.
No, you can just have 3 boxes, 3 answers. So please tick 3 answers
or
and
less.
Submit. So new value chains and business models seems to be the most relevant and interesting for the participants of today. That is pretty expected, considering that you are here to follow this, but also biomass availability, quality, supply, and sustainability. While bioeconomy education and stakeholder engagement and co-creation are also interesting. So if you are interested in these topics and you didn't participate to our webinar, please refer to the first one when you will see the video. So bioeconomy education, stakeholder engagement, and also awareness raising have been touched in the first one. Regional potential and bioeconomy strategy and implementation action plan was touched in the second one. So if you want to see this, and also standardization, LCA labeling, and regulatory hurdles in the second one. Okay,
yeah, I think we see some clear winners.
Yes.
If you could call them that, of course. The topic of today attracts a certain audience, and therefore the audience is more likely to select one or the other topic. But still, will you take us through the results, Susanna?
Yeah, let's just a quick, let's say, comment. So if you find the contents addressed by the 4 webinars interesting, or the first one is very happy, the second not so much. Okay, so if you can action, so if you can really use these contents for your work, and if you recommend this to a friend. So if you consider that everything is online, is available to everybody, so feel free to download, to share with your colleagues and your friend if you think that there is something interesting for your work. Feel free to contact also the lifters, the LIFT team, through the LIFT website. Okay, so I think that we are nearly done for today. We are nearly done with our 4 webinars. Still, we are open to additional suggestions. So if you can write us an email, and I think we can close here. So thanks to the project that we hosted today, so Celebio and BioVoices, thanks to the European Bioeconomy Network, that is the mother that is always following our activities, thanks to the people from LIFT, and of course, thanks to the enthusiastic participants. So if everybody wants to say something.
Just thank you very much to all the participants. Sorry about this 11 minutes delay, but I think it was useful. So thank you very much for staying with us.
Also, thank you for your questions. While Susanna was talking, I tried to address and answer most of them. If I fail to do so, then we'll try to do that in the document that will be available today, tomorrow, maybe Friday. As said at the beginning, all the materials from all webinars is freely available from the LIFT project website.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.